Welcome to Invisible Me, a podcast centred around invisible health issues and the feeling of not being seen and heard. Yet here I am, standing right in front of you. Does this sound familiar? Well, come join the conversation. Share your experiences. Let's break down those norms and attitudes for the better. This is a safe space to chat with me, Pat.
Welcome to a special episode of Invisible Me. Today, I'm chatting with your usual host, Pat, all about how the podcast came to be. My name's Tom, and along with Ben, I would normally be editing and on the buttons. But today we're swapping chairs so that we can learn a bit more about Pat. So, Pat, who are you and what do you do? Please introduce yourself, tell the listeners about all the hats that you wear, of which podcasting is only one.
Hello there, good evening to both of you. Thank you for agreeing to do this, or I twisted your arm to do this. It's by popular demand. Folk have asked, who is Pat behind the voice of interviewing? Podcasting is one element. That was born out of a need for a platform for people to find a space that's safe and comfortable to talk about their health and their illnesses. And that was mainly driven by myself having invisible disabilities. On the back of that, I'm also known as Pat the Inventor, and I have some products, and one recently on BBC with the Sarah Davies show, the Perpetual Bird Feeder. All I can say is keep your eyes peeled later in 2026 for news on that. And currently, with Mind Time Limited, it is an anxiety wearable, and that product was just launched early last year, and it's for sale to the masses.
You've had an amazing year. Really.
It's been a super year.
You know, with the product launch and everything. So this all feels, though, that it comes from the same wellspring. So take us back a little bit. How did you come to be developing products and entrepreneurship and podcasting? Take us back. And I know there's a little bit of radio in your background.
Oh yeah, true. I did my degree in Leeds, and it was media studies, and I was leaning towards that journalist side of working with people and interviewing them and finding out more about their lives and what they do. So there's a bit of psychology in part of the degree. So I started off with there, did a little bit of radio back in Ireland and in Belfast, and just loved it. But timing never was aligned for me, and I never could actually get work in the job that I loved. So I ended up teaching media studies instead. I thought I'll teach it if I can't work at it, which was great. And then moved and came back to England and went down many other routes, had many careers. But then it all made sense towards the last year or two, that the word that's bantered around everywhere at the moment being neurodivergent and all of these different hats that people are wearing. And I feel if I was actually tested today, the results would come back positive as ADHD. I was diagnosed dyslexic in my final year of university, so it makes sense how my brain is wired a little bit differently. So I think and see in images. It's like a little movie always running in my head, never seems to switch off. But multiple. There's 3 or 4 things can be happening at the same time, and I can make sense of it. So this is where the designing and problem solving and seeing the end product myself before it's even made. I've always been like that. I just thought everybody else was too. So this is the bizarre thing. I actually thought everybody was the same. I see solutions all the time, and I just think it's dead easy. Then COVID, again, a hard time for a lot of people, a hard time for a lot of people's mental health and well-being. However, I saw positives coming out of COVID as well. And there has been. Lots of people have pivoted, changed their lives, changed their careers, took a leap of faith and did things that they always thought about, because we had time and opportunity landed on our laps. And it was during COVID that I thought, right, I'm going to go and get research done and see if there is anybody else making this product. So I started off with Buggy Assist. That's my very first product, and that started in COVID. And you do a patent search and you do a product search. The whole journey to get to the products and where I am now was all self-taught and business courses and online training and network and continually networking and continually learning from others. And that's where it's brought me to now. The designing was always there. I just had to do it.
Interesting stuff. And we will get onto the product. We'll get onto Mind Time. I'm interested though. You said you were diagnosed dyslexic. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is back in university.
Yes.
So, we're not spring chickens. That was a while ago. Obviously, there's a lot more awareness now about neurodiversity. But as someone who, as an adult, found out about all this stuff, how has that sort of made sense of things for you, stretching back to university?
Yeah,
because it seems like this is the propulsive force.
Turning point, very, very pivotal, really. I knew in my own head that I wasn't stupid, but school and education in a bit of rural Ireland and tradition made you feel you were a little bit thick. You were put down. You were kind of ignored. And a little bit of gender role comes into it as well, being female, brought up in a very traditional rural lifestyle, farming community. So I always wanted to go into the grain a bit and stuck my head up and spoke up. And then that was seen as a little bit of defiant and talking back, which it wasn't. I was just a very curious child. I always wanted to learn. I wanted to know why. And hand on heart now, if I had to do my degree all over again, I would do engineering, because that just makes me sing. That makes me happy. I love it. An opportunity came. It said, no qualifications needed, please, to apply to go to further education. Jumped at the chance, did media studies in Northern Ireland. And then I just applied for university because the entire class did. Never dreamt that I could go. I always thought that's for smart people. So there's a bit of that character assassination, a bit of
trailblazing.
Yes. But I filled it in, and then I went to America for the summer because my family are over there, and I worked for the summer and had a great time. And when I came back, offers were coming through, and I'm like, oh, well, this is real. I can go to university. And I was the first in the family of 3 generations back, the only one that's very first. And I was a mature student, so I was 27 when I went to university. And I just talked myself through it. I landed in England to Leeds Bradford Airport with £80 in my pocket, rucksack in my back, a black bin bag with a duvet and a pillow. And there I was. I'm like, what now?
As a veteran of a few flights to and from Ireland, was it one of those really windy grey days where you think we're just, you're landing into cloud? So,
yeah. And the little planes that had the propellers, not just luxury.
So that plus the 80 quid, it's
honestly
must have felt not like a particularly auspicious
no clue.
beginning.
Honestly, no clue. But I got a job in Morrison's working on the till, applied for a grant, got a grant, and I just did term at a time. Worked my butt off. I always had to. That was the thing. And not knowing I was dyslexic, I worked extra hard. And I wasn't passing. I was barely scraping by. Occasionally I might have passed, but so close. So I kept going to the lectures and going, why are you failing me? Why am I not passing? And I was quite worried. And the one lecturer said, Pat, I think you're dyslexic. And I got very defensive. I went, I am not. How dare they? Computers were available, but not like now. So I went to the library, got a book, had a read, and went, oh my Lord, that's me. It was like, I can't explain it. It was like a revelation, a completely eye-opening experience. It explained who I was, why I was the way I was, why I did things I did. And I got tested. The dean, actually, of the university, paid for it. Went to the Leeds Dyslexia Institute, got tested, and I was dyslexic. To me, it was amazing. I was overjoyed. I had a reason why I operated the way I did. And it empowered me, actually, and it made me thrive. But again, when I mentioned it to my family and my mother and them, the first thing they said was, don't tell. hide it.
Right.
You'll never get a job.
Has that changed now, do you think?
It's hereditary. If my mother was tested, she would be dyslexic. I know, so much so. I can spot it. It's weaved all the way through my family, the next generation. But luckily, it's been picked up in primary school for them, so it's brilliant. So I became an advocate very quickly for those that are underrepresented in many areas in my life, but this in particular. So yeah, no, it's been the fire in my belly. It's what's made me rise and champion that I'm as good as the next person.
So the picture that's emerging here is, yeah, there's some unique ingredients, and you've had an interesting path in life, and particularly to come to the successes that you're having this year. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would sort of want that in their 20s and 30s if they're into entrepreneurship, but you've been resilient, you've been hardworking.
Yes, it is.
And now it's all beginning to pay off, which is hugely exciting. So I'm going to pivot to one of the questions that we've got written here. So the title of the podcast is Invisible Me. What does invisible mean to you? Did you feel invisible?
Good question. Yes, I felt invisible as a child. Like I mentioned, being a girl in a farming community. I felt invisible as a young woman growing up. Again, there was expectations, and I wasn't compliant to any of them. I didn't get married and have about 6 kids. That was expected.
Good stuff.
Close a few times, but no. And then I was invisible of my own sexuality. I was 26 when I came out to the world to tell everybody I was a gay woman. Again, slow burner, took me a while to figure it out. So that part of my life. And then career-wise, again, I felt stepped around, stepped over, not heard. And then eventually, maybe always looking for a bit of recognition from Ireland and family to saying, well done, you've got a degree, good for you, Pat. And that never really came. It was acknowledged, but very minimal, because I was breaking the barriers and being different. And they didn't know how to handle different. And I was everything they didn't want me to be. Yeah. And then my health, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2006. And that's a chronic pain illness all through your body. It's pain in the muscles rather than the bones. You learn to live with it. Well, I learned to live with it. And then I realised, meeting other people in different walks of life and through my networking and business, people were comfortable to talk to me and tell me about their illnesses and what was happening in their lives. And then I thought, right, we need to make a space to help share these stories and make other people feel less invisible.
Yeah, and that's, obviously we've worked on the podcast together, so I'm familiar with the people and the stories that we've had so far. So invisible seems to mean different things to people, whether it's chronic pain, neurodiversity. So one of the things that seems to come out for me is that, okay, you can have a diagnosis, you can have a condition, but that has a lot of implications for the way that people have to live their lives. So what are some of the themes that have sort of come out from the episodes so far about the implications of being invisible and having these conditions which impact your life?
I think one of the common themes is, as you said, being invisible. People walking around in their jobs, getting on with their lives, folk make assumptions. They look at them and they think, well, they look fine. They don't look sick to me. And the problem is, we're a little bit broken inside. You just can't see it on the outside. So part of that's there, and the frustration and the annoyance of people not believing you and making judgments and being critical. So that's weaved all the way through every single person I've spoken to in the podcasts. Sometimes the medical profession think you're over-exaggerating and you're making a little bit of it up and you're not believed. That's another one. So a late diagnosis, maybe a couple of years of talking about your illness before you're diagnosed. That's quite common. So yeah, it's a difficult one, Tom, but it's very individual, but those two areas cross over for everybody.
What do you think we need to do a better job of opening up about?
Not assuming. But I keep saying this. People say, oh, never judge a book by its cover. And I call it, that's BS. That's crap. As you know, I still swear. This is an adult show. But it is now. We are human. We judge all the time. We just do. We might do it quietly and internally, but we make assumptions. We think when we meet people and see people what we think they are. So that happens. And then, so we're not giving a person a chance. We need to ask and not be afraid to ask. People prefer to be asked face to face than asking a friend of a friend or getting the gossip about that person. Up front, to the face, ask. And people are very easy and willing to share it. It's not a problem talking about the illness because it's respect. It's the respect of the person in front of you and treating them as a whole person and just asking.
And I think that's something that you've been really successful at with the podcast, is putting people at ease. People love to talk to you. They open up to you, and hopefully that is a bit of a difference that Invisible Me has made, and long may continue to do so.
Thank you.
So let's have a little bit of a chat about the entrepreneurship, the inventing. You have a moniker, Pat the Inventor.
That was given to me by my brand and design and marketing folk, but it sums it up. It is who I am overall. And then offshoots from that are different products. But for those who are out there wanting to start a business, take the leap. Just go for it. Talk to me. I'll help and guide you through all the pitfalls. But something I didn't know, and it's every time you have a different product, you have to launch an individual company. So for the 3 products I have 3 different companies. It's hilarious, 3 different bank accounts. But yeah, it's not easy. But it's all about belief. It really is. You have to see the vision. You have to believe it and never give up on it. You will get there.
And that's the thing. So the product it's a wearable called Mind Time. That's
Correct.
MYND time. Mm-hmm. So give us what we would call in America the elevator pitch. What is a Mind Time wearable?
It's a non-tech, that's very specific, a non-tech wearable, which is a bracelet. And built within this bracelet is different textures, different feelings, different things to do. To sum it up, it's like a fidget toy built into a wristband. That's to give you the visual. It helps people calm their minds, slow them down. While ever they're playing or fidgeting with the Mind Time bracelet, they are not thinking about what's making them panicked. When they're in an anxiety moment, when they're overwhelmed, they're not coping, they're in that busy train, it's crowded, they're feeling panicked. This helps them get through that moment. It's just a simple aid, a tool to rescue the person in the moment and give you a bit of calm.
So obviously this has an application for people with neurodiversity.
Correct.
But is it just for those people or is it for everybody?
It's quite funny because when you go, I'm in the NatWest Accelerator. I'm an alumni now because I've been going there for years. I'm their poster girl. It's very funny. You'll see me popping up in NatWest everywhere. And it's really, really nice. And they have been tremendous in supporting different businesses and people and taking you on that journey, every layer there is within business. And they would very particularly keep saying, who's your target audience? Who's your target audience? What's your USP, your unique selling point? And I go, my USP is it's 24/7. It's always on your wrist. You haven't left it in your coat pocket or on the kitchen table or in the car. It's always there. And it's slightly hidden. I wanted something discreet. So it was originally designed for the businessman returning to work after COVID. And lots of guys were being diagnosed with anxiety and not coping. And that is how Mind Time was born. So it was under the wrist, basically the shirt, cuff or the jacket. And even in a busy boardroom, you can actually be self-soothing with Mind Time.
So that's really interesting because obviously we've talked about it before. I thought that the genesis of the idea was years and years ago and the sort of accumulation of all your experiences, but you're telling me it's actually COVID that was the
completely
jumping off point.
Yep. Yeah. All the other products and ideas in my head have always been there for years, but Mind Time literally was me sitting in this room where I'm talking to you now, hearing about friends, family, talking about anxiety. And all of a sudden it was round post-COVID when it's on the news and mental health, it's in newspapers, all through social media, influencers. Lewis Capaldi was one. He was talking about his anxiety and the Tourette's and a few other singers and celebrities. And I'm going, this is another pandemic in its own.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, the anxiety of life getting back to normal. Very, very interesting. So you've put a lot of work in. Recap for us quickly. Like a product just doesn't just pop out, and that just, even in the era of AI, we don't get instant gratification if we're trying to create a physical product.
Correct.
So take us through the journey.
Oh, Lordy, I literally never wanted to manufacture. That's massive. And I went, nope, I am too long in the tooth and too tired. I am not doing manufacturing. And I wanted to license it, which meant a company would buy my idea, I would get paid royalties, happy days, and they would have the product and put their name on it and take it on the journey. That didn't happen. And here I am. I had down the route of manufacturing. I worked with 3 different universities. It started with Huddersfield. They did a 3D print of my drawing on a piece of paper. It's as simple as that. That's how it was started. Then I went to work with Sheffield University and AMRC North. And they are literally, when you walk into their building, there's airplanes and massive things in the building, and they work with NASA and everything. And then I'm coming with my little mind time, and it's Pat, who has no engineering qualifications, rocking up. But they took me serious. This is where I wasn't invisible. I was seen. It was wonderful. And this is my love for engineering. I was like a kitty in a sweet shop. I couldn't get enough of it. And it was fun. So we tweaked and we drawed and we played and we did more 3D. And the physical product then was in my hand. And that was the start to get to the end. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. So what sort of timeline are we talking about, though?
The whole journey till today, 4 years. I'm 3.5 years in. People told me this. The Huddersfield said to me, Pat, this is going to take years. And I looked at him and smiled and walked out the door and laughed and went, ha, I'll have it done in a year. No, it takes a long time.
So you walk in and your idea clearly has merit because people give you, their time, they take you seriously, and now that's all come to fruition. So how will the MindTime wearable change the world? What changes do you hope it will bring about?
It's lovely. It's already started. This is the exciting part. So I've had so much feedback from schools and children that have been trialing it and wearing it, and parents emailing me and saying, I was out with my son at Christmas school play, and he's autistic and ADHD, and he never sits still. And she said he didn't move for 10 minutes. And she looked over to him and worded, are you okay? And he pointed to his wrist and he goes, my buddy, MindTime. That made my day. His school are saying he's paying more attention in class. This boy's life has changed because of MindTime. And the stories repeat and repeat and repeat. I have adults thanking me, saying they're coping better in work, at their desks. I have, as you said, everybody, all ranges, all ages, all abilities. And I've had people say to me, I don't regard myself as having any mental health, but I fidget. And they love it. The little poppet bit seems to be the most popular part in the MindTime. I've already designed Gen 2 and Gen 3. They're coming out this year. There is more parts of MindTime.
And that takes me perfectly onto my next question. Thank you, Pat. You're a real professional, which is just, before we started rolling, we were talking about, you've got these 3 businesses going on, and you actually have to have premises. You actually have to store products. So you've got a lot on your plate for 2026. Yes. But what comes next? What other ideas are in the pipeline? Or is it focus on where does MindTime go for now?
No, I want to focus more on the podcast, and I have people waiting to be interviewed. And we're going down the route of men's mental health and well-being. And I really want to give that proper quality time as well. So that's happening. MindTime on Amazon and my website, and just people organically buying it, and the feedback, wonderful. I have scientific, psychological data, literally a book coming about the science and the proof of MindTime working from Lancaster University. That's coming any day now. Like I said, the next levels of MindTime from the feedback of customers. These are the amendments, the new versions. And then continue with the bird feeder. But mostly...
We didn't even get onto the bird feeder.
It's absolutely fine. Mostly the aim is MindTime is going to corporate. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm working with big companies and we're having lots of talks and we're very close to a few deals. It is work going into the workforce and companies buying for staff well-being. And that's the shift. Staff's well-being looked after by their bosses, lowering sick rate, keeping the well-being and the mental health at a stronger level, less sick days. So that's what's happening. And they're all up for it. They're loving it. So if something's going right, people love Mind Time and it's getting great results.
That's amazing.
And I could cry. I'm not happy. It's something I thought about, threw in a piece of paper, and this is happening.
That's so amazing, but a busy year coming up. So if anyone wants to find out more or buy a Mind Time wearable, where can they do that?
Simple, my website. So it's www.mind, M-Y-N-D, time, one word, .co.uk. The website's good. There's videos, there's research, there's all sorts there. And there's a Buy Me Now option. And that will be delivered straight to your home within 2 to 3 days. The other option is an Amazon Prime, or just Amazon, stick it in the search bar, just write Mind Time, and up I pop. Or just say hi, send me a message, and if you're local, I'll hand deliver.
Amazing. Well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Pat. Next time, normal service will be resumed. Pat will be back as your host, and Ben is going to be editing. So, hello, Ben. So all that's left for me is to say goodbye, Pat, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tom. Bye-bye.